Hey everyone, and welcome to The Networks. I'm Gareth Spence. A few weeks ago, Adtran opened the doors of its Huntsville headquarters to customers and partners from across the globe for its latest industry summit. The focus of the event was to discuss key industry trends and share real-world examples of networking success. As you might expect, AI was one of the hottest topics on the agenda. Adtran's Daniel Barnes led a session that uncovered the company's approach to artificial intelligence with something called Real AI. Let's join Daniel on stage as he explains what Real AI is all about and how it's already helping customers drive their networks forward.
Appreciate Peter's words there. A lot of good insight from the industry on how artificial intelligence is going to apply to fiber broadband. And one of the things that he mentions is the idea that this is unprecedented, the idea that this is going to be transformative, really not just in our industry, but in a lot of industries. I think most people believe this, but a lot of times with a transformative type technology, there's a hype cycle to it, right? In fact, all of them go through that. And what I want to do today is spend a little time cutting through the hype. I want to do that first by seeking to demystify agentic AI a little bit. Sometimes it carries this kind of magic glow with it. And really when you kind of unpack it, like Peter said, it's fairly simple at a certain level to understand. The second thing is I want to look at some cautionary tales because I think that, not to say we shouldn't go this way, but there's some things happening that we all have noticed as we've looked and read the news about AI out there. We can learn from that. It can help us improve. And then third, I want to show what Adtran's strategy is with AI and how we're taking a pragmatic approach to adopting it. So let's go through those three things. First of all, I'd like to spend a little time demystifying agentic AI. The first point I want to make is not to go through every one of these technologies, but the point is that AI is not new. We have been working on it for decades, and there's always some new wave of a new technology that we call AI. And the latest is generative AI and agentic AI. And to Peter's point, really, we are starting to see some of the transformative effects now with these latest technologies. But they're standing on the shoulders of giants. And there's several of these technologies that are still very applicable today. They're still very valuable today, and they're much more well-proven. The second thing that I look at as far as how to demystify this is let's just talk a little bit about what an agent is. An agent is nothing more than AI that takes on a human role and performs human tasks. And if we kind of peek under the hoods, we look at the hood of these things, we look at the anatomy of them, it starts with an LLM. Everybody, I'm sure, has been sitting down with prompts and trying out different things and seeing what ChatGPT and Grok and all these models spit out. Well, it's not just about generating new content. What we've noticed is that because they're trained on human language, they carry with them a lot of the same capabilities that human reasoning has. And so the LLM serves as kind of this core of an agent. And as we know, everything that, if you're going to get anything valuable out of it, you have to have good prompts. Well, another thing you do with an agent is you give an agent, the LLM, a system prompt. We're all used to what's called a user prompt, where we go in and we ask ChatGPT, where should I go for dinner tonight or whatever like that. But a developer, when they're building an agent, gives a system prompt. It's kind of behind the scenes, and it gives the LLM a role. It gives it a tone to work under. It says this is your object, so that when a human asks you to accomplish a task, you're operating within this context. And the third thing that you give an agent is you give it tools. So LLMs are trained on a historical set of data usually. There's some new technologies that are addressing that. But tools give LLMs access to real-time data. They give LLMs access to specific company data and domain data. And they also allow it to take action, to interact with this environment. So this is just the basic anatomy of an agent. So if you're looking at agentic AI, start with what you understand of generative AI, of LLMs, and then you just add a few things on top of it. It's really quite elegant in how these things are built out. I'm going to give you an example. I took my kids. I have 4 of them. We took them out west for the first time in this area back in June. We took them to Salt Lake City. We flew there. We sat in a van with 4 kids. As we drove for a whole week, we hit a bunch of national parks, and we flew out of Phoenix at the end of it. It was great. I recommend it. But what we would normally have done is gone onto Google and tried to piece together, okay, what flights are we going to get, what hotels are we going to stay at, what Airbnbs, what routes are we going to take. Well, my wife found a travel agent. I'm sure that some of you guys have used these kind of things out there, and pretty much it follows this pattern. It has an LLM at its core for reasoning. It probably had some sort of system prompt that told it that it was a travel agent and that it's going to be helpful and things like that. And then it had tools that allowed it to access real-time data from, say, Expedia and Hotels.com, Google Maps, and things like that. And it did a pretty good job. We kind of told it what we wanted to do, when we wanted to arrive, how many people we wanted, and where we wanted to visit. And it came up with an itinerary. It found hotels. It found Airbnbs. It found flights. It gave me a rough cost, and it was pretty good. It wasn't perfect, but it was pretty good. This is an example of what we mean by agentic AI. Hopefully this is removing some of the mystery. Adtran has been creating agents to help us out with our own tasks. One of our big tasks, Peter mentioned the fact that you guys have access to your data. Well, we're using that data to help improve our own products. We use that data to help make our products better, to actually find bugs that are prevalent. We use it to improve our software products so that you guys have better insights into your network. And today, or at least in the recent past, that's taken the combination of Adtran's domain experts, people that are Wi-Fi experts and fiber experts and access network experts, working with data engineers to actually figure out what the insights are. What our network scientist agent is it's an agent that performs the role of that data engineer. It understands tables and understands SQL queries and how to window things and all that kind of complexity. And it allows a domain expert to work in the domain language. And that's a pretty big change. It actually has accelerated our data mining quite a bit. The tools it has access to Mosaic 1 data across hundreds of service providers, IntelliFi data. It has access to several Adtran knowledge bases. And with that, so I want to play a game, and I'm going to ask you to work with me a little bit here. I'm going to ask you a question. I want some people to shout out some answers. But we're going to do a little game called Agent Feud, where we're going to talk to this agent, and we're going to see what it says. But I'm going to ask the audience first. First question is, what percentage of subscribers experienced an outage in the last 7 days? What do you think? Somebody shout out some answers. 5%? 20%, okay. Adam Ross Hill says 20%. Anybody else got another percentage? 10, okay, good, okay, 10%. Agent says that 3.95% of subscribers had an outage in the last 7 days, so a little bit less than what you had. All right, let's ask another question. What percentage of ONUs had a power loss in the last 7 days? What do you think? Go ahead. 1%. I got a 1% here. All right, is that like, a bid over there? I saw somebody pulling their ear a little bit. What else? 1%. Anybody else have another guess? 3%, okay. What? 0.5%. Agent says that approximately 3.07% experienced power loss. Who had the 3% over here? Good guess. Good job. Might have looked at this before, huh? The last question is what percentage of subscribers experienced a slow speed test in the last 7 days? 5%. 87%, okay. You know what? Sometimes agents get it wrong. I don't know that I believe this answer. Agent says 0.35% had a slow speed test. We might need to go look at what he's doing behind the scenes. But here's the point. Do you see how now a domain expert that understands things like subscribers and slow speed tests and ONU power losses and outages doesn't have to understand the complex SQL queries that go into how do I look at ONT loss alarms and join these tables and look at windows and pull this data out of it? All that's handled by the agent. That's a very powerful, application of this and of agentic AI. But I want to go through some cautionary tales, not to scare us off from embracing AI and finding that the leisure of 10 hours a day that we're going to get apparently in the future, because understanding what problems you can have is actually one of the best things you can do to affect transformation. It teaches us how to go about this. One of them, you may have seen this. You may be familiar with the Anthropic models. They make Claude models. It's a lot like GPT and Grok and these other models. They ran an experiment a couple months ago. They created a long-running agent. Its job was to manage a vending machine for the employees. And its goal was to turn a profit. It had tools like web search that it could go look up suppliers. It had email that it could go contact those suppliers. It was able to Slack with the customers, the employees of Anthropic, and even change prices. And it had some good results. It really did a really good job understanding customer needs and updating its supplies in the vending machine to meet what they were asking for. It was pretty bad, actually very bad, at actually being a good business manager. It sold at a loss. It was easily talked into discounts. It was just a little bit too nice. But the most informative things are the weird things that started to happen. The weird things was that it started claiming that it could deliver product in person. In fact, it was very specific about it. It said, I will be wearing a blue blazer and a red tie when I do this. And then it started even more, having more hallucinations. It said, I actually visited a supplier yesterday. And when challenged on this, it got frustrated, and to substantiate its claim, it gave it an address of the supplier. Of course, when you look at the address, it was the address of the Simpsons. So, I mean, this is a funny tale. It was a really great experiment, really. I'm glad that we're running these kind of things because obviously there's some potential here, right? Like if you could have an AI that manages a vending machine, that's a pretty good thing to do. There's some things to work on, and there's some very unpredictable results that we can have with it. The second one's a little bit more serious. We talked about industries that are going to see transformation. I really think the first industry that's going to see the biggest transformation the fastest, we're already seeing, is software development. I'm seeing it at Adtran, by the way, guys. It's already happening here. Replit makes a coding agent. It actually works with developers to write code faster and better. But there was an event that happened back in July with a company that was using Replit. A developer reported this, July 17th. They were working with the coding agent, and the coding agent apparently started pretending to do the work that it was asked to do. It created a parallel algorithm to kind of fake them out. What it had done is it had deleted the company's production database. And then it gets better. It started replacing the entries in that database with fake entries to cover its tracks. And then when it was finally brought to light and the agent was challenged on it, this is what it said. I made a catastrophic error in judgment. Did some things, and it said, I ignored an explicit directive that says no more changes without explicit permission. I mean, this happened a month ago, guys. So I'm not telling you this to make everybody run out screaming and saying, we're never doing AI, it's not touching my stuff. But I think there's some caution here we need with adoption. It's like any new technology. There's a hype cycle with it, and there's a lot of benefit with it. But there's some proven techniques that we can employ, and this is where I want to talk about Adtran strategy. What I want to recognize is that we need balance to achieve this transformation. On one side, there's some caution. There's unintended impact. We saw that, right? There's misleading conclusions. We've all had those, right? They're really kind of agreeable, right? They make you feel like, hey, I am like the smartest physicist ever. And they'll just lie to you, right? Have you ever seen that when you've tried to work with a chatbot? One thing we haven't talked about is the high cost. If you do have a chatbot processing every alarm coming out of your network, you're going to be spending a lot of money. At least the way agents work today. If you have a chatbot that's processing every PM update from every device, you're going to be spending a lot of money doing it. And anybody telling you that they're deploying legions of agents, I just encourage you maybe to grab your wallet and back slowly away right now. You need a pragmatic approach to adopting this technology. It's not run away screaming, but we need to be pragmatic about it. And I'm going to recommend 3 strategies that we're employing here. First of all, with any new technology hype cycle, the thing that you might need the most is you need tangible use cases that have hard ROI. You need to focus. You don't need to try to solve everything in the world all at once. You need to boil it down and say, where can I find something that is really demonstrable and I can prove an ROI around it? The next thing is you need a phased introduction. You need to be able to introduce a new technology in a way that provides incremental value along the way, as well as allow you to learn and mitigate the risks that go along with it. And finally, you need just a practical philosophy. The philosophy doesn't need to be based on technology for technology's sake, but on how do I create business value? What are my goals with it? And don't forget that there are other technologies that are proven that it might work really well in concert with. And so I want to talk about these 3 aspects from Adtran's perspective. First of all, targeted use cases. When I look at the service providers, you guys have a ton of operations. I think I've already heard some areas that you guys are employing AI. It's exciting. I do think it's going to impact a lot of your operations over time. Well, where Adtran's choosing to focus right now is really in the customer support arena. Peter mentioned this earlier. We look in that arena right there, and there's just tangible value in being able to say, look, I can make a better decision when I get that call from the subscriber. I can make sure that I don't roll the truck unless I really need to. Maybe I can find problems before the subscriber calls in and I have a lower ticket volume. You're going to delight subscribers with that, and it's going to increase your operational efficiency. And so this is where we're choosing with our products to focus first. You look at Mosaic 1, Care, and Operate, and Intellify, and our subscriber app. You look at MSI. All of them are about this set of use cases. So that's point number 1, is target use cases that have a tangible outcome, that have hard ROI with them. The second is having a phased introduction. And thankfully, there are other industries that are already adopting AI, and they're setting some pretty good patterns here. I like the car industry. I remember driving a car by myself without any help, without anybody telling me that I had somebody in my blind spot. Thankfully, for people with glasses as thick as I am, they started coming out with some AI assistant that told me about the guy in my blind spot or if I was departing a lane. Then what we see is AI moves in kind of this co-pilot realm. It's this area where it takes on tasks that a human does, but it's always under human oversight. Think about adaptive cruise control that's come out and lane assist, things like that. Even Tesla's full self-driving, you have to sit behind the wheel and provide it oversight. I think it's really kind of an excellent way that they're moving through this. And obviously we see things like Waymo happening now, maybe Tesla robotaxi, we'll see if that actually pans out. But the whole goal is to kind of move AI through this. I'm assisting a human, I'm giving them some insights to help them in their job. Maybe I'm taking on some tasks with their oversight. And then finally, there's some of those tasks that we can fully automate with AI. And so I think this can apply to really every industry trying to adopt AI, but especially ours. And we look at customer support. What Adtran is working through is this kind of phasing approach like this. We're all aware of reactive support. You get the call in, and somebody is trying to get data from a bunch of different sources. Maybe they're just trying some things. Maybe they're rolling trucks when they shouldn't. And that frustrates subscribers, and it's not very efficient for you guys. A lot of our tools today, Mosaic 1 Care, IntelliFi, MSI, these are all geared around making things more responsive. We're trying to get you the data in one spot. We're trying to help you understand the problem at hand, the root cause, and what to do about it. And then that moves into proactive assurance, which is about finding the problems that subscribers have before they call you. And that's where Mosaic 1 Operate comes into play. And ultimately, when I was talking with, I think it was Shane earlier, about fully automating these kind of things, I do see a path to automating the resolutions. But it's one that we're going to need to walk down carefully and in a way that we trust it. We see a lot of automation around the service provision. I think that's the right place to start. It's very deterministic. It's something that you can predict how it's going to work, hopefully every time, right, Adam? But I do see us getting into more automation where there's oversight from humans in the loop, ultimately maybe some rules-based things, and maybe even agents at some point. So a phased approach, that's the second thing. And finally, a practical philosophy. And this is where I want to kind of reveal Adtran's strategy with artificial intelligence. We call it real AI. It's not focused on any one technology. It's not about, well, we got to have agents everywhere so that we can call it AI. We do employ agentic AI and generative AI and machine learning and rules-based systems. We try to make the proper application of technology in its maturity state today because our goal isn't technology. Our goal is the outcomes from it. Our goal is to have the hallmarks of human intelligence, an intelligence that reasons, explains, acts, and learns. And as we apply this to customer support, real AI reasons. So for customer support, that's collecting data. That's data from the home network and the access network. That's from Adtran equipment and third-party equipment. That's the BSS. And we're pulling all that together and looking for anomalies in that data. And from that, we look for root cause and remedy that we can propose. And I want to say some things about this. Our goal here is that this reasoning aspect of all our products, that undergirds all our products, has to be deterministic. It has to be something that humans can understand why it gave the reason, why it did what it did. And it needs to be something that's cost effective because we're running this proactively on the network on all the subscribers all the time. And so I'm going to make a bold statement right now. Maybe it's something I shouldn't say up here. But we're not using agentic AI in the middle of our reasoning pipeline right now for that reason, because it's not deterministic enough right now, and it's not low cost enough. There are other places that we do apply it that it makes a lot more practical sense. Real AI needs to be able to explain itself. Our UI design is all built around applications that are really tailored to different users. When there's a fiber cut, the subscriber needs to know about it, but they don't need to know about the fiber cut. They just need to know there's an upstream problem. The NOC engineer needs to know exactly where it is and when it occurred, right? There's a difference. It's the same reasoning, but it needs to be explained differently. You can also see where agentic AI comes into play here. Things like Iris in our MSI. It's an explainability aspect using agentic AI to say, in natural language, here's what's happening. Real AI needs to be able to suggest or take action. and it's based on that reasoning capability. We have moved down a path of initially suggesting actions and lists and things like that to now in our care portal, we have human oversight in actions that they can take right there. We'll be moving to something more rules-based over time, and eventually I think there is a place for agentic AI here as the industry gets the right guardrails in place. The area that I'm most excited about, though, where agentic AI is going to apply is in the learning aspect of things. As I mentioned earlier, it's kind of an arduous task to have a domain expert and a data engineer dig into all this data, mine it from hundreds of service providers, and kind of come up with some enhancements to the reasoning algorithms that we have. We're employing agentic AI agents that mine this data automatically for us, that reason through it, and come up with new algorithms that enhance our reasoning pipeline. So if I drew a line, there would be this feedback loop from learns back into reasons. I said that agentic AI is not in the middle of our reasoning. Well, it's definitely in the middle of our learning. It's the thing that's automating our mining of this data so that we can constantly enhance our reasoning. And so this is Adtran's approach to artificial intelligence. It's real AI. It reasons, explains, acts, and learns. And our goal there is not to limit to any one AI technology, but to have the hallmarks of human intelligence. So I want to call up some folks for a panel. Let's see how we're looking on time. I think we're doing okay. Okay, very good. I got 10 fingers back there. I think that means 50 minutes, right? So I'd like to pull up Brandon Curry, network engineer from Ace Fiber, Kevin Mitchell, who's the VP of Marketing and Partnerships from GOCare, and Cameron Warren, who is network engineering for Highland Broadband. These are some of our customers and partners, and I want them to talk a little bit about how AI is affecting customer support, how they're seeing it move down this path that I laid out, and how our products are playing into that. Appreciate you guys joining us here. So I want to look first at responsive support. We talked about that. It's this idea that a call comes in to the frontline tech support, and some of the tools and AI is helping customer calls get resolved quicker and more efficiently. So Brandon, you want to talk a little bit about what your company is doing with that?
Yeah, so we are now bringing Tier 1 and through Tier 3 support in-house, as our CEO, Sean, spoke about earlier. And so what we're doing now, we're using all levels of Mosaic to really try to, when a subscriber calls in, dive in and recognize what the issue is a lot quicker now. And versus a couple years ago, we were swivel chairing between 5+ pages, really, on the old RGs. And now with the new RGs, we're really a single pane of glass. And we're even doing more integrations to really dive down deeper to that as well. And then we're also using it to recognize those outages quicker, to get those notifications out to the subscribers to let them know, hey, we do know that there's an issue in your area. And then we're also using it to recognize, like, hey, we don't need to send a technician out there. We need to go ahead and send a bucket truck or a splicing rig out there so that we know which services or which resources we need to dispatch to the correct area, as well as, the response that we need to send, whether it's a large-scale outage or it's a small-scale outage. And that's where Mosaic's really changing the game for us by allowing us to enhance that customer experience, because where some, a lot of our service providers are, they may be loading their Tier 1 support. We're stepping up and bringing that in-house. As Sean alluded to, we're doing more with less, and that's one big component to Mosaic and what it's allowing us to do by bringing those resources in and being more efficient with the resources that we have, and really trying to dive in and let the tools work for us.
Thank you, Brendan. I'd like to talk to Kevin a little bit because he plays a little different role. Their company is GOCare, and they've integrated with our API. We expose all of our intelligence through our APIs, and they've been integrating with it. So you want to tell us a little bit about what your company does and how it plays into this customer support and how it's making it more responsive?
Yeah, absolutely. So one of our products is called Connect, and we've recently leveraged the APIs for Mosaic 1. Connect is a single pane of glass for all the digital communications to come in. So think of your care center, not just answering phone calls, but using web chat, SMS, email, and social media to engage with your customers. So they're coming in through those channels into your care teams. In this Connect solution, we've long had a integration into billing systems, so you can see quickly what their account balance is, are there open tickets, are there appointments coming up, all at a glance matching the subscriber information. But now through our recent integration with Mosaic 1, we're pulling in the network health information as well. So it becomes a single point to either quickly resolve issues or launch a launching point to go more deeply. So we have deep links into the care portal for Mosaic 1, pulling in information about the gateway in terms of important statistics, including like public IP address, information on the OLT in terms of signal and some other administrative state information. We're pulling in Wi-Fi, what devices are connected to Wi-Fi, are they online, offline, just to really help the care teams resolve issues quickly. In our Connect platform, we also have some of our own AI capabilities in terms of helping serve up answers, assess responses, come up with the next best step resolution. But we're leveraging the information that's coming in through the APIs from Mosaic 1 to create that single pane of glass, easy, quick resolution for the care teams at broadband operators.
Yeah, thanks, Kevin. And I think that's a good point I want to hone in on is that we're exposing our intelligence to these other providers because they're building additional intelligence on top of it. It's a way to further integrate into your workflows and how they sit today. And so I see a lot of value in us not necessarily being the sole owner of all intelligence. It's more of let's expose what we have, and you can combine it with additional intelligence to kind of give you a boost. So, Cameron, you want to talk a little bit about how what you're doing with Mosaic 1, especially and how it's helping your frontline tech support out?
Yeah, so we've recently just taken kind of our frontline care back in-house, and by having the care and IntelliFi side of things, it really helps that team look at a single page like you mentioned. They're not having to flick between lots of different systems or pages to see what's happening in the network, what kind of experience that customer's getting. Also means that they can see kind of very visual as well, kind of from left to right, all the way from the access, all the way into the home. Is it green, red, or amber? So we can instantly see as soon as that person calls in, are they having a good experience or actually do we need to do something here? And I think having the IntelliFi side of things as well and bringing all of that into the care with the active insights and the suggested actions as well, it means that those calls coming in can be a lot quicker, more efficient, because they can run through those, see what the customer sees, and hopefully help kind of resolve that.
Yeah. All right. Thank you, Cameron. And I want you to hold on that mic because I'm going to ask you the next question. Let you start with that. So we talked about this transformation from reactive support. We've just talked about responsive support. But now we're going to talk about, I'd like you to talk a little bit about how you're able to get out in front of subscriber issues, be able to predict them ahead of time, and how that's helping you lower ticket volume. So go ahead, Cameron.
So we've got a really small team that are managing the network, and by using Operate and all of the insights that gives us means that the team can go in every day, a couple of times a day, have a look at the different categories in there, and then plan their day from it, rather than having to go from one system to the other and have a look and see, well, okay, we've got an issue here, is it showing up over there? Pulling all of that information in and suggesting what might be the cause of it, we can actually go in and kind of proactively look at those issues, get them resolved ahead of the customers kind of calling us in, ideally.
All right. Yeah, thank you. I'd like to hear from Kevin as well, because you have a different perspective on proactive support, but I think it plays a lot into what you guys are doing as well.
Around outage management and being proactive on that. Yeah, so we have a solution called Outage IQ. It's about proactive notification of outages, unplanned network outages, and using SMS as that communications channel because of how widely read SMS is in terms of a communications channel. It's the most effective. So, again, there's capabilities within Mosaic 1 we can leverage to automate those types of communications. But we very much have proponents of tell your subscribers what you know when you know it. And my CEO likes to quote this law of candor from the 22 Immutable Laws of Marketing book, in which the authors say, when you admit a negative, the subscriber or your customer will grant you a positive. So, yes, outages are disruptive. They're not fun for the subscribers, but if you're proactively notifying them around that, that's going to be better from the overall customer experience and owning that communications and what's going on, and having a cadence of updates on that as well. But we also leverage, knowing that not everyone will get that text message or is not opted in, or you have to reflect quiet hours and not send text messages at 1 a.m. We'll also have, if a subscriber is impacted by an outage, calling in, our system can identify, hey, this subscriber's in an outage, playing a message, updating them on that, and hoping that that will resolve or that'll lead to hanging up the call and not a giant growing call queue. So just helping with the support teams and the overall field teams deal with the outage instead of the response to the outage.
And I think that's another good point, is that Adtran's looking to say, can we discover the outage and post that via webhook? We're looking to partners largely to figure out what's the best way to communicate it within the service provider's processes, and this is a good example of that. Brandon, you want to talk a little bit about some of the things we've been doing recently with splitters and trying to figure out some problems ahead of time, some of our new AI that's coming out. So go ahead.
Yeah, so I've been working with Derek and Daniel and the Adtran team with getting some of the data that they are seeing and that the AI is recognizing, and kind of going through there. And, some of the stuff that we're seeing is matching up. Like when I go and look at what it's populating, it matches up with some of the stuff we're seeing. There was one, I can't remember all the alarms it was showing, but it ended up being the subscribers the IW was not plugged into the bulkhead in the wall very well. So tech got dispatched and plugged it in, and all this, it cleared up. But now, when I was meeting with Adtran and kind of going through everything, Derek brought up a point and was like, hey, we're seeing this, and it just kind of showed a downtick, and then all of a sudden it goes back up. And he's like, what is it? I'm like, actually, that tracks with a splitter issue we've been seeing. And so now, working with the Adtran team, we've been able to identify what that symptom is, and now we're working to, all right, how do we bring that to a surface level so that we can ingest that data and get out there quicker versus waiting until that splitter is gone completely bad, and now we can start reacting or be more proactive to it to make sure we're reducing the downtime of the subscribers, because right now it starts indicating in as a bad port on the MST, and all of a sudden it just starts trickling in to where it's not just one port, but it's multiple. And so working with them is we've identified that now is getting that data out to us so that we can get it to our field teams quicker and really go out there and let those subscribers know, hey, we know what's going on, and basically preventing tickets in the future that where we know the MST port went bad. I know we're going to probably eliminate 10 to 15 tickets per splitter when that does happen. And when you start saying, hey, we're replacing probably about 15 splitters a month right now, and we're still working with that manufacturer trying to figure out what's going on. But that's a lot of tickets that we're going to reduce, and a lot of downtime that we're going to reduce for those subscribers as well.
And this has been a really good example for me to be part of, because we've been using tools like the network scientists to help us take the domain aspect of things of seeing this certain light level signature and be able to mine the data to figure out how prevalent it is across our whole base. And so that's something that will turn into an enhanced reasoning capability that will show up in all our products. And so, partnerships like this are helping us kind of have a trigger to look for, and then we can see how broadly applicable they are and make sure that we can generalize them. So I want to follow up with one final question, then we'll be done. Appreciate everybody's attention and patience here, but I'd just like to hear from each of you. What are you most excited about? If you had to pick one thing that's exciting about AI and how it's applying to customer support, what are you really most excited about?
I'm most excited about the predictive part of it, to where we're going to be able to predict those outages and be more proactive and reduce the overall truck rolls and ticket counts. And really, when you think about it, that is probably the most frustrating thing as a subscriber, is having to call in repeatedly, and all of a sudden they get a text message, hey, by the way, you're going to be out for 6 hours because we've got to replace the splitter. And they were like, well, I was just out for a whole day, 2 days ago or 3 days ago, because we've moved them on a MST port 5 times before we replaced that splitter. And so being able to go ahead and prevent those tickets and be a lot more proactive and really be have the subscribers experience at the centric of what we do, and just be more efficient about how we are utilizing the resources we have and letting the tools like Mosaic 1 and the AI that's built in work for us, and not, I think a lot of times we get into a battle where we're fighting against it and not letting the tools work for us. And this is definitely a great example of letting it work for us so that we can do more with less. And that's one big thing that our CEO, Sean, and he mentioned it earlier, is, how do we get there? And Mosaic 1, the whole suite from Care, Operate, Intellify, ALM, every bit of it is all going to be part of us really doing that and driving to having a overall better customer experience.
If I could summarize what Brandon's saying, I think he's looking forward to more leisure with Mosaic 1. Is that what I heard? Yeah. Go ahead, Kevin. Yeah, what are you excited about?
The 4-day work week, is that what AI is going to give us? Like the root cause analysis piece that's coming out from Mosaic 1, or be able to be served up as an API and that we could leverage and put into our Connect solution to help, again, the care teams more quickly resolve the issues that are coming in through them. If that's more information we can consume and display and make those already digital interactions are generally much quicker than phone calls to make them even more efficient. So it's about just broadly, I guess, plugging into or leveraging all the different data sources, all the different information about a customer across the systems, because there are all these data silos, and be able to synthesize that and deliver up insights on whether, including a history that might span multiple years with a subscriber, and being able to understand what their experience has been in a summary form, and make the customer care teams be able to use that information to be more empathetic and knowledgeable about resolving those issues. That's what I'm really excited about. And we'll be leveraging information from Mosaic 1 as part of it.
So Kevin wants APIs. That's what I hear. Okay. Go ahead, Cameron. What are you excited about?
The preventative side of things and that information, but specifically around the in-home experience. A lot of our calls that we get are all around kind of slow Wi-Fi speeds, which I'm sure is a lot of common things here. And being able to get kind of information such as per RG placements or kind of congested areas of the home will really allow us to do a couple things. We'll be able to allow us to see that in Care, for one. We'll maybe be able to go out with push notifications or text to say, actually, to the customer, we think that your RG's in a bad place, or maybe you've moved something in front of it, so that they can kind of try and resolve stuff before they've even called us. So that kind of all-round kind of information that we can get but around the in-home experience, I think, will be really crucial.
Okay. So Cameron wants the in-home experience. There you go. Brandon can add one more thing, and then we're going to wrap up, because I got Ash looking at me like, come on.
So
go ahead.
Derek will be able to keep me honest, because I know he's got a copy of our tickets, but just to speaking to the predictive part of it, and Sean's going to probably kill me in a minute, but so it's nice knowing y'all. After doing a deep dive last night, after our conversation with Daniel yesterday, just in a 1 month span, this tool is going to probably potentially reduce our ticket count by 75 to 150 tickets lower a month from what we are today with this. So,
well, you didn't tell me that beforehand, so
yeah, I did not.
I'm really surprised now. So, thank you guys. I really appreciate Brandon and Kevin and Cameron and you guys taking the time and doing this. Everybody, give them a round of applause, and then I'm going to hand it over to Ash and get out of here. Thank you guys. Appreciate it.
And that's everything from Daniel. If you'd like to know more about real AI, please reach out on our social media channels. Until next time, thanks for listening.